Colombia, la China, ya, amarillo, colores, SUPCRISTORES, Fortnite, let's go. Somos de las 12, nos fuimos de roce. Hoy voy a lo loco, ustedes me conocen. Reggaetón de Tego pa' que se lo gocen. Saben quién es balbin, les presenta José. Y yo no me complico, ¿cómo te explico? Que a mí me gusta pasarla rico. ¿Cómo te explico? No me complico. A mí me gusta pasarla rico. Después de las 12 salimos a buscar el party. Ando con los tigres, estamos modo safari. Con un flow violento que parecemos sicarios. Y yo tomando alguno. La policía está molesta porque ya se puso buena la fiesta. Pero estamos legal, no me pueden arrestar. Por eso yo sigo hasta que amanezcan. No me complico, ¿cómo te explico? Que a mí me gusta pasarla rico. ¿Cómo te explico? No me complico. A mí me gusta pasarla rico. No me complico. ¿Cómo te explico? Que a mí me gusta pasarla rico. ¿Cómo te explico? No me complico. Que a mí me gusta pasarla rico. Hey, 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 hey. Que siga la fiesta, no vamos a parar. Aquí solo se para si llama mi mamá. Hoy me toca seguir, la gente pide más. Me invitan por aquí, me invitan por allá. Y vamos a seguir. Las botellas llegan y no las pedí. Solo en la casa y están todas. Las botellas llegan y no las pedí. Solo en la casa y están todas solitas. Si saben cómo soy, para que me invitan, pa' que y yo no me complico. ¿Cómo te explico? Que a mí me gusta pasarla rico. ¿Cómo te explico? No me complico. A mí me gusta pasarla y yo no me complico. ¿Cómo te explico? Que a mí me gusta pasarla rico. ¿Cómo te explico? No me gusta pasarla rico. Ya, 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 ya. No me complico. Nah, yo no me complico. Nah, yo no me complico. Ya, seguimos. Latino again, SUPCRISTORES, man. Ok. Agua. Let's go. Este es un party por debajo del agua. Baby, busca tu paraguas. Estamos bailando como peces en el agua. Como peces en el agua. No existe la noche ni el día. Aquí la fiesta mantiene encendida. Siempre que pasa me guiña. Ey, dulce como piña. Esto es un party por debajo del agua. Baby, busca tu paraguas. Estamos bailando como peces en el agua. Ey, como peces en el agua. Eso es así. Debajo del sol, vamos para el agua, que hace calor. Dice que me vio en el televisor y que me reconoció. No fue un error. Y te conozco, Calamardo. Dale, sonríe que bien la estamos pasando. Ya estamos al cari, montamos el party. Estamos en bikini con toda la mami. Puedes estar debajo del mar y debajo del mar tú me vas a encontrar. Desde hace rato veo que quieres bailar y no cambies. Esto es un party por debajo del agua. Baby, busca tu paraguas. Estamos bailando como peces en el agua. Como peces en el agua. No existe la noche ni el día. Aquí la fiesta mantiene encendida. Siempre que pasa me guiña. Ey, dulce como piña. Muy fuerte sin ejercicio, pero bailando se me nota el juicio. Ey, tanto calor que me asfixio. Soy una estrella, pero no soy Patricio, no. Sacúdete la arena, arenita, y sonríe que así te ve bonita. Wow, de revista, baila feliz en la pista. Bajo el sol pa' que quede morenita y París. Puedo estar debajo del mar y debajo del mar tú me vas a encontrar. Desde hace rato veo que quieres bailar y no cambies de tema. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? SpongeBob SquarePants, but you know what I mean. Who lives in a pineapple under the sea? Bob Esponja, you know what I mean. Yeah. Let's go. Fortnite. Are you ready for night? Todo el mundo estamos listos. I want to see everybody jumping, come on. Como se la cruz tengo el azúcar. Tu jeva me vio y se fue de pecho como Jimmy Luca. Te vamos a tumbar la peluca y arranca pa'l que a ti no te va a pasar. Mi tenis Valenciaga me reciben en la entrada. Paparazzi, like I'm Lady Gaga. Y no te me hagas que cojo el baby, pues tú has visto mi cara. No salgo de tu mente, donde quiera que haya escuchado mi gente. Ya no soy hype, soy como el testa rosa. Soy el que se la vive y también el que la goza. Es la cosa, mami, es la cosa. El que mira sufre y el que toca goza. I said I like it like that. I said I like it like that. I said I like it like that. 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, go. Nos vemos sin vida, capela, suave que la noche espera. Yo te encendí como vela y te apago cuando quiera. Venga hasta la noche como pantera. Ella coge el plan y lo desmantela. No es de Puerto Rico y me dice mera. Tranquila, yo pago, guarda tu cartera. For real, madre, Medellín, que los dos sí que tengas que pedir, que seguir, me cambie de carril, Mario, no sé si lo ven, for real, madre, Medellín, que los dos sí que tengas que pedir, que seguir, me cambie de carril, Mario, no sé si lo ven, a cualquier manga le marco, a los Cristiano Ronaldo, tírame el pique que lo parto. Manos en alto, que esto es un asalto. Esto no es misa, pero vine de blanco. Hago solo éxitos a lo Benny Blanco. No puedo parar, si paro me estanco. Sobra prosperidad, eso lo sabe el banco. For real, madre in Medellín, que lo decir que tengas que pedir, que seguir, me cambien de carril, Mariao, no sé si lo ven, for real, madre in Medellín, quiero decir que tengas que pedir, que seguir, me cambien de carril, Mariao, no sé si lo ven. No te voy a negar bebé. Besos en el cuello pa' calmar la sed. Mi mano en tu cadera pa' empezar como es. No le vamos a bajar más nunca, mamá. Baila, la cata, como ella lo mueve. Sin parar, las ganas de ahora son más fuertes. Y no te voy a negar. Estamos claros y ya. No te lo voy a negar. Estamos claros y ya.
Lo que he visto de ti, mami, no es normal.
Yeah.
Pero no te preocupes que soy anormal. Sé que tus amigas no les demos gustar.
Pero que ni díselo.
Pero ven, cuéntale, parte por parte. Como tenemos, te quito el estrés. Dale otra vez.
Nicky,
y no te voy a
yo.
negar. Estamos claros y ya. Estamos claros y ya.
Baila, la cata, como ella lo mueve. Sin parar, las ganas de ahora son más fuertes. Y no te voy a negar. Nicky Jam, miss you, bro. Whoa. Hey, let go. Woo. Yeah. Come on. Put your hands up in the air, mano arriba, todo el mundo. Yeah. Let go. Hey. Ahora quiere volver. ¿Por qué razón? Dime para qué. Ya no te presto atención. Desde hace tiempo le puse punto final. ¿Qué pretendes tú llamándome hasta ahora? Esta actitud la conozco ya. Sabes qué hacer muy bien para envolverme, pero esta vez es muy tarde ya. Bad Bunny, ¿cómo?
Esto no son horas de llamar, a menos que me lo quieran, que quiera aprender, que quiera.
Hey.
Hablando claro, ya tu mente ya está mal, por ti me metí, me pido ver. No me tiro, porque si no la retro se me embacha. De Snapchat te borré, de Facebook te borré, de Instagram te borré, de mi vida te borré. Y ahora quiere volver, nada con lo que quiere. Pero no se va a poder, me vas a ver con otra y te vas a morder. Y ahora quiere volver, nada con lo que quiere. Pero no se va a poder, me vas a ver con otra y te vas a morder. ¿Qué pretendes tú llamándome a esta hora? Esa actitud, la conozco ya. Sabes qué hacer muy bien para envolverme, pero esta vez es muy tarde ya.
Intentas hacerlo todo para que yo vuelva. Las cosas no son iguales, ¿para qué insistir? Evita molestas y tu tiempo no pierdas. Conmigo no encuentras. Investigando mi perfil, no lo niegues, bien te conozco. Todo lo que tú hiciste conmigo, quieres repetirlo. Andas buscando más, y a mí eso me da igual. Todo lo que tú hiciste conmigo, quieres repetirlo. Andas buscando más, y a mí eso me da igual. ¿Qué pretendes tú llamándome hasta ahora? Esa actitud la conozco ya. Sabes qué hacer muy bien para envolverme, pero esta vez es muy tarde ya. Díselo, va.
¿Qué pretendes llamándome a esta hora. Esa actitud que ya conozco ya. Sabe qué hacer muy bien para envolverme, pero esta vez es muy tarde ya.
Gracias, Bad Bunny. Fortnite.
Bad Bunny,
Let's go.
J Balbin.
J Balbin, man. Chick.
Oasis, baby.
Let's go. Okay. Black Eyed Peas. Balbin, man. Whoa, whoa. Let's go. Toda la noche rompemos, al otro día volvemos. Tú sabes cómo lo hacemos, baby.
Baby, tonight's like fuego. We bout to spend a dinero. We party to the extremo, baby.
Toda la noche rompemos, al otro día volvemos. Tú sabes cómo lo hacemos, baby.
Baby, tonight's like fuego. We bout to spend a dinero. We party to the extremo, 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 extremo.
Ritmo.
No soy ni Ribu ni Sonai. Sin estilista luzco fly. Me dice que luzco guay. No te lo niego porque yo sé lo que hay. Lo que se ve no se pregunta. Yo te espero y tengo claro que es mi culpa. Como Canelo en el ring nada me asusta. Vivo mío así y la paz no me la tumba. Hakuna Matata como Timon y Pumba. Voy pa' leyenda así que dale zumba. Los dejo ciego con la vibra que me alumbra. Eres pa' la tumba, nosotros pa' la rumba. Ya. Toda la noche rompemos, el otro día volvemos. Tú sabes cómo lo hacemos, baby.
Baby, tonight's like fuego. We bout to spend a
Okay,
dinero.
I see you.
We party to the extremo,
Let go.
baby.
Toda la noche rompemos, el otro día volvemos. Tú sabes cómo lo hacemos, baby. Black Eyed Peas, come on.
Baby, tonight's like fuego.
Will I am.
We bout to spend a dinero. We party to the extremo, 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 extremo.
Ritmo.
Hey.
The rhythm, the rebel, styles upon styles upon styles, I got several. Born to be wild cause I live like a dead devil. Live it up, hit 'em up, that's a scenario.
Let go.
Tupac, I get around like a merry-go. Rooftop, I am on top of the pedestal. Flu shot, I am so sick I need medical. I learned that shit down in Mexico.
Hey.
The rhythm, the rebel, new and improve, I'll be on a new level. That's how we do it, we building like Lego. Feel on a fire, you're dealing with fuego. Can't stop, I am addicted, I never quit.
Won't stop.
Don't need to speak to no therapist. Don't stop, keeping it moving's the narrative. Don't stop, do it like whoop, there it is.
Toda la noche rompemos, al otro día volvemos. Tú sabes cómo lo hacemos, baby.
Baby, tonight's like fuego. We bout to spend a dinero.
Dinero, huh?
We party to the extremo, baby.
Toda la noche rompemos, al otro día volvemos. Tú sabes cómo lo hacemos, baby.
Baby, tonight's like fuego. We bout to spend a dinero. We party to the extremo, 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 extremo.
Ritmo.
Ok. Está grande el hombre. Boy.
El demonio canto con Honduras.
Rosalía.
Y solo una estrella, una figura.
Let's go.
Héctor aprendí la sabrosura.
Fortnite.
Nunca he visto una joya tan pura.
Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago dura.
Con altura,
Demasiadas noches de travesura.
con altura,
Vivo rápido y no tengo cura.
con altura,
Y de joven para la sepultura.
con altura,
Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago dura.
con altura,
Demasiadas noches de travesura.
con altura,
Vivo rápido y no tengo cura.
con altura,
Y de joven para la sepultura.
con altura.
Pongo Pongo rosas sobre el Panamera.
Yeah.
Pongo palmas sobre la Guantanamera.
Let's go.
Llevo camarones en la guantera de la isla. Hago pa' mi gente y lo hago a mi manera. Flores azules y quilates. Y si es mentira que me mate. Flores azules y quilates. Y si es mentira que me mate.
Con altura. Con altura.
Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago dura.
Con altura.
Demasiadas noches de travesura.
Con altura.
Vivo rápido y no tengo cura.
Con altura.
Y de joven para la sepultura.
Con altura.
Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago dura.
Siempre dura, dura.
Demasiadas noches de travesura.
Con altura.
Vivo rápido y no tengo cura.
Con altura.
Y de joven para la sepultura.
Con altura.
Aquí en la altura están fuertes los vientos. Ponte el cinturón y coge asiento. A tu jeva ya la vi por dentro. El dinero nunca pierde tiempo. Contra la pared y le tuve que comprar un porque la tenía con C. No soy Sky, pero rompí el bajo otra vez.
Flores azules y quilates. Y si es mentira que me mate.
Flores azules y quilates. Y si es mentira que me mate.
Con altura. Con altura.
Esto es pa' que quede lo que yo hago dura.
Con altura.
Demasiadas noches de travesura.
Con altura.
Vivo rápido y no tengo cura.
Con altura.
Y de joven para la sepultura.
Con altura.
No pa' que quede lo que yo hago dura.
Con altura.
Demasiadas noches de travesura.
Con altura.
Vivo rápido y no tengo cura.
Con altura.
Iré joven para la sepultura.
Con altura.
La Rosalía.
La Rosalía.
¿Cómo?
Vamos.
Ya. Fortnite. J Balvin, man. La Rosalía.
Que yo hago dura.
Mi gente, gracias, los amo. Buena vibra siempre. J Balvin, man. Let's go. Si el ritmo te lleva a mover la cabeza y empezamos como es. Mi música no discrimina a nadie, así que vamos a romper. Toda mi gente se mueve. Mira el ritmo como lo tiene. Hago música que entretiene. El mundo nos quiere, me quiere a mí. Toda mi gente se mueve. Mira el ritmo como lo tiene. Hago música que entretiene. Mi música los tiene fuerte bailando y se baila así. Esquina, de ahí nos vamos. El mundo es grande, pero lo tengo en mis manos. Estoy muy duro, sí, ok, vamos. Y con el tiempo nos seguimos elevando, easy. Que seguimos rompiendo aquí. Que esta fiesta no tiene fin. Botellas para arriba, sí. Los tengo bailando, rompiendo y yo sí. Que seguimos rompiendo aquí. Que esta fiesta no tiene fin. Botellas para arriba, sí. Los tengo bailando, rompiendo. ¿Y dónde está mi gente?
Me fais bouger la tête.
¿Y dónde está mi gente? Say yeah, yeah, yeah. Come on. Come on. Yeah. Everybody jump. Todo el mundo conmigo. Yeah. Okay. Turn up. 1, 2, 3, let's go.
La fiesta no para, apenas comienza. C'est comme ça, ma chérie. La 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 la. Francia, Colombia, me gusta. Freeze. Y Balvin, Willy William, me gusta. Freeze. Los DJ no mienten, le gusta a mi gente y eso se fue muy. Freeze. No le bajamos, mas nunca pagamos, es otro palo y blanco.
¿Y dónde está mi gente? ¿Y dónde está mi gente? Let's go. esquina, de ahí nos vamos. El mundo es grande, pero lo tengo en mis manos. Estoy muy duro, sí, ok, vamos. Y con el tiempo nos seguimos elevando y que seguimos rompiendo aquí. Esta fiesta no tiene fin. Botellas para arriba, sí, los tengo bailando, rompiendo y yo sigo. Que seguimos rompiendo aquí. Esta fiesta no tiene fin. Botellas para arriba, sí, los tengo bailando, rompiendo. ¿Y dónde está mi gente? ¿Y dónde está mi gente? ¿Y dónde está mi gente? Thank you, gracias a todo el mundo. Gracias de corazón de poder estar aquí cantando en español para todo el mundo. J Balvin, Latino Gay, orgulloso desde Medellín, Colombia. Fortnite. J Balvin, man.
Level when you're going through the most tournament participation, and you've seen time and time again that some of the plays that come out of this region and the gun skill and the level of mechanics are utterly ridiculous at times. Might not have the most discipline, but what does discipline matter when you can beat the person who's across from you 9 times out of 10? And right now you can see Clement and Floki Nakos were able to pick up an elimination onto Vidil and Fastroki's trio, so going to be able to snake away a point there and also avoid Sturm Surge for that 5th zone threshold. It is 50 players, so we're right at that line. We are also at the line where placement points are about to begin to be doled out. So once we get into the top 17, every single trio that falls will then be 1 more point. Then once you're into the top 3, there's an additional 11 points on the line. 3rd gets +2, 2nd gets +4, and then the Victor Royale walks away with a big old +5 and whatever eliminations they can rack up at the end. And right now, we're seeing, again, good discipline here from the French trio, finding an angle, being able to put pressure. And they pulled priority on this zone here. You can see their bottom right-hand corner. They have the white line, and everyone else is going to have to pass them if they want to head to safety. And they're going to begin to try and head upwards a little bit. Nope, they open that up, and they see, never mind, somebody's directly above us. We're going to stay on this low ground.
And here we are going into full storm rotations now. 6, 7, 8 are going to be outside of the storm every time this trio gets into the safe zone. And then 9 is the ultimate closing zone. We'll go all the way down to the entire screen is filled purple. But Nakos gets a big knock on Yanis on the same layers there as they're going to make their full rotation. And that is the power of having priority. You could kind of look back and they get X-Squeeze as well. So they're going to trade out when Nakos is going to go down, pick up the quick heal. That's a great benefit as well, being on the front side of the storm. You have have the time to res, and they're going to barely get that res off, and now we're going to take a look at the chaos. You're going to have the low ground form up. You're going to have the mid ground form up, and of course, who is at height is always the question that everybody wants to know, because they're going to have the power position here to walk away with the victory royale. Savage goes down, gets fully confirmed in the feed. All the names are going to start lighting up here for the moment here, Sundown.
Yeah, now we have our placement points beginning to get doled out, and they're going to come in very quickly. 2 already taking over as we're into our top 15, 35 players remaining, but a good execution there coming through from Nakos and Co to get back to a strong 3. Now they're going to about face and start spraying shots. Andalix will also get confirmed by Blackie, so that's our second place team being taken down. We talked about Rojo and Co, but they will be no mo there as he gets taken out. However, Mongrel, Tayson, Mitro, if the number 1 team doesn't fall and gets high ground every game, this is going to be a race for second as they open up match number 6, just like they closed the rest of the day yesterday, controlling high ground and raining down the AR shots with nary a contestant in sight. So we're going to hop on board here with the French trio, who's continuing to work on the low ground. 4 eliminations so far. Nakos has the legendary pump as well as the bandage cannon, so good opportunity to potentially execute here in the late game and make some plays.
CRR stealth, Wolfies does get knocked, but it is an opportunity, though, for at least Clement, Floki, and Nakos to kind of close the gap as much as possible. Yes, already, metaphorically as well, on top of the leaderboard is Mongrel, and on height is this game, as Nakos does pick up an Elan right then and there. It's so important, though. We've been seeing the playstyle in the EU region to overcome height at a moment's notice. We've been seeing a lot of low-ground victory royales. The question is can Mongrels hold on? And Kenzo is actually going for height, and it's Cammy. 2 teams are competing from height, and it's going to be Tayson that's going to be left on alone. And you mentioned Mongrel going down. Mitro and Tayson are going to have to do it as Cammy and Raxo take control of height, as you're seeing on your bottom right. On the top right is going to be the low ground. And Clement, and man, look at them. They're getting so many elims right now. Already with 7, Sundown.
And there's plenty more on the board. They're also getting the placement points, taking over top 4 with 9 players remaining. But all of a sudden, Clement is all alone. He's going to turn around and pick up CRR. It's going to be a 1v3. He finds a second right away. That was Mitro for the full confirm, but he goes down in 3rd. Raxo up on the high ground, running it out now, and the challenge comes up from Kinzo, and he gets swatted down. Raxo and Gamma Gaming Cammy will close that one out. 9 eliminations and 34 points from the Victory Royale. Match 6 closes out there.
In a blink of an eye, before you know it, a victory royale is accrued by Raxo and Co. We're going to need the breakdown from Zeke, Shayo, and Reese. What you got for us, fellas?
Wow, that's impressive, and to answer a little bit of Sandra's question. Down all the way from
Royale, but are slightly teetering off now, dropping out of the top 10 place. And Cage, we'll see if they can bring it all the way back. Vettel, iDrop, and Stair6 also a trio to look out for that plays very consistently. And Falconly, Yaxo, and Skite, I love actually seeing their names now. It looks so clean in 15th place. 47 points, not too far behind the competition. Still very close for the top 15.
You gotta love it. You gotta love it when you can read the names, it's clear, and you can find the players. I'd love it. And all the teams that you're seeing here between 16th and 20, you know, most of these guys are really struggling with that early and mid game, in particular with Storm Surge. You know, these guys in this grand finals kind of lobbies, going for Storm Surge tags is extremely difficult, and their strategy really needs to be down. Queasy Milan Chapix in 19th, coming out of Craggy, is really struggling with that right now. So hopefully they can figure out their strategy, get their points, and keep moving.
I think we could chalk some of this up to just first game jitters, right? Like, we watched the top three, except Mongrel, Mitchell, and Tayson, kind of fall a little earlier on than expected. But again, we've got 7 total games. We've got 6 more. It's okay, just first game jitters. Let's just test the waters. Okay, game 2. It's time to bring it. Let's go ahead and talk about what kind of transpired in this last game, as well as walk back through the Victory Royale. There's a couple key things that happened there that if you blinked, you missed it.
Absolutely. Throughout the entire FNCS, we've been focusing on the top 8, the top 15. Now it's about the top 3, especially from day number 1 and how they looked. Mongrel, Mitro, and Tayson landing over at Stark Industries, one of the best POIs, and they had a very good game in day number 2.
Some would say the best POI, but the second best POI, in my opinion. Over at Doom's Domain, we're checking in with what was our third place team, which was Benji, Savage, and Lecce. They are contested similarly to the end few games of day 1 by the dual media trio, fighting off spawn every game now.
Yep, and Reese, this is your pick over at Sweaty Sands. They're looking pretty strong as well.
They're looking strong, and you know, the Twitter was going wild about Sweaty Sands last night. They were talking about it heavily because it is a fantastic drop spot, but unfortunately they didn't seem to manage to perform out of it that day.
Yeah, over here, we'll tune in with Tayson, Mitro, and Mongrel. The reason they find themselves in this low ground chaos is because Cammy, Artur, and Raxo saved all their shockwaves, saved their actual crash pads, took height in the 8th zone. Ooh. These guys only had enough mats to sustain, not retake height, and they ended up falling. Here's Lecce, Benji, and Savage continuing that fight with a dual media trio over at Doom's Domain. Lecce goes down. It's just Savage and Benji left in the end game.
Yeah, it's just Savage and Benji left. They did what they could, but that fight took them way too long. They ended up being in the zone with 2 other trios in the second zone, still in Doom's Domain. Made them rotate late, and that left them with horrible materials because they ended up getting focused in that endgame.
And we have Andalex, X-Squeeze, and Janice in the endgame as well. Also a little bit shambles. It looks like all these day 2 trios have improved. These day 1 type of top performers, the top 3, are looking to repeat things, but they will have to adapt to how these teams, such as Raxo, Artur, and Cammy, are closing out these games.
Yeah, and like I kind of alluded to earlier, these guys took height with those shockwave plays in that last moving zone, and because Mitro, Mongrel, and Tayson did not have enough materials to maintain that high ground, they could not take it back at that point. It was secured for Cammy, Raxo, and Artur. They just continually pressured down from there on, and that was the Victory Royale.
Man, I mean, again, first game jitters. We'll see. We got to see for the data from game number 2. The question is, though, is there going to be a new day 2 trio that will pop up like this one that we just watched, or will our first day trios show up? Well, let's find out as we jump back into game with our casters. Take it away.
So much, Zeke. I am Sancho West alongside Sundown, and it is a new day. Yes, it is. We are seeing some new trios who are trying to meet the performance of our day 1 trios. And hey, that number 2, sometimes a sequel, it can be better than the original. We all talk about movies here. Sundown, you've seen it before, and here's take a look at our game 2 of 7 here in the grand finals. And we're going to see a finish here up in the Northwest region, which is going to really favor that Doom's Domain and, more importantly, that Sweaty Sands trio.
Yeah, what is going on just slightly west there of the ruins? There's like 3 different teams and 3 different triangles all fighting over kind of the one henchman chest that's guaranteed in that area and a couple others. So a couple scavenger routes that are directly on top of each other. We're going to hop on board here with somebody else executing on one of those scavenger routes. This was our match number 6 winner as we turn over to now the official backside. We're on the back half of the games here. Matches 7 through 12. And right now, again, we talked about it at the start of the morning, it's who can catch Mongraal, Mitro, and Tayson. And despite the fact that this trio was able to take away the victory, they were able to sneak up there into a 4th place with 3 eliminations. So still a 17-point game coming out of them there. As you can see a little bit on how the scavenger execution kind of goes about. The key is maximizing your materials, getting enough distance covered to kind of scout where you're available to go to next, and see if there's anybody you can potentially ambush who's also running one of these routes. But so far, not going to happen, as we're going to swing back on board here to Clement, Nakos, and Floki.
And we talked about this already, Sundown. This is one of those trios that were very deadly in heats. They kind of get up really quickly to get those elims. You mentioned 8 minutes or less, and they get an elim. They average about 5 elims in their qualifiers and heats. They looked really good. You picked them as well to walk away as the grand finals champion. And they had some day one jitters, a little bit of stumbling blocks. And now they're just seeing this new opportunity. They took a break that is so important. Now we're at that official halftime point. Just to be able to change your playbook, just to change your trajectory. And like we mentioned, it's just a shift in just a little bit. You don't have to do anything too crazy. Just a simple shift could get you back up into the leaderboard standings.
And one thing to note, too, is they had just 2 really, really, really poor games where they weren't able to get into those placement thresholds. You can see on the right-hand side, each elimination being a point, but the placement starting to tick in once you're in the top 17. And for a trio like this in particular, they thrive on consistently getting placement points. They're not necessarily known for those absolutely massive over-the-top victory royales. They're more than capable of winning a game, but it's not typical for them to be getting those 15, 16, 17 eliminations VRs back-to-back. They did it in heats, though. However, now we're going to swing over to a little bit of contention going on. It's the battle here at Doom's Domain, and yet again, as we saw during the qualifier 3 rounds, Benji and Co. controlling the vault and then utilizing the secret passageways back and forth to try and get positioning over here on the north side of the house. And you can see the dual media group now trying to rotate back over here. However, all of the onus here is really going to be on Benji and Co. to take this one out.
And we're seeing this engagement could be so detrimental to run. Dual Media's trio is sitting in 30th place at the moment. And day one, Benji, Mr. Savage, and Lechi I think they ran them out of Doom's Domain at the very beginning, very early on. It looks like Dual Media has stepped it up just a little bit, maybe trying to take advantage of Mr. Savage, Lechi's, and Benji's slow starts. If they could shake off that slow start, maybe Benji could kind of put a run together to contest with Mongo's trio, to contest with Andalix. But right now, so far, we're just seeing another slow start here, Sundown. Just a little bit. We maybe see the early signs of it. You know what I mean? I'm tasting the air, and I could taste that slow start.
And the one thing to note is about the slow starts today, you think, yeah, well, we got 7 games today. That's one more than we normally get. Like, it's okay. There's time as Mirza there gets picked up by Benji in a nice little 50-50, able to swap over there to the Epic AR. Lechi is also going to be able to get a pick up there on the site. Benji's going to find the other one, and Lechi doesn't get converted, so saving some key resources there as well, not having to go over and utilize the reboot. We'll have to find some additional white heals if they have the bandage cannon, so not going to lose too much, but I mean, we've talked about it. Everyone is playing catch-up to Tayson, Mitro, and Mongraal, and one slow game, they got 17 points last game. So all of a sudden, that difference at the top, specifically if you're Benji, Savage, and Lechi, you lost 12 points last game. You have to make that up some way, shape, or form. And if these guys don't go down, if we don't see kind of that classic patented Mongraal over-aggression where he kind of overreaches a little bit in the early and the mid-game, and they keep getting their Storm Surge tags, I think, again, it's going to turn into a race for second.
I mean, the biggest fear as well is if somebody or some trio just decided to do 50-50s and try to drop into Starks. It happened before. They did lose their spot early in qualifiers when Jazzbase Trio, who is in the Grand Finals, mind you, kind of contested. They kind of started to lose it, but I think that woke up MMT. That woke up this trio to let them know, look, we're going to have to understand that someone will contest us at some point. And they just obliterated Jazzbase Trio in that next day in that tournament. So that is what we're kind of watching here. It's like, will it happen? Could it happen? We already seen OCE and Link's trio slip from that first place, going all the way down to 7th place or so. It could happen, but so far, I don't taste it in the air. I only smell grand final champion here.
And that would be such a key kind of feather in these guys' caps. We talked about them being some of the strongest and best players in the world, and right now trying to put that on display, utilizing, again, we've talked about this as well, the first shot accuracy from the Stark Industry Rifle and the high base damage of it, the fact that it still hits for 35 even at maximum range, and being able to convert on those 50 plus damage headshots make it one of the strongest weapons. And particularly, I mean, everybody has seen the clip of Mongrel on the high ground with an infantry rifle. This is about the same, and you'll also notice too, they'll generally run in terms of the rifle choice. They'll have a burst rifle on Mitro, and then Tayson and Mongrel will pick up those Stark Industry Rifles. That way, when you're spraying a wall, you have the fast first shot accuracy from the Stark rifles, and then the 2-shot burst coming through on the burst AR. It gives them a bunch of pressure to hit trios behind their builds.
We saw that stat of Indretta, Safik, and Mongrel having 15 plus elims, so they are slaying out. But what a metaphor. You see Mongrel's trio all decked out, swagged out in whiplashes, and then you see everybody else in the back of the pack trying to catch up in the coop. That's the kind of race that we're talking about. Can the turtle catch the hare? And this hare has an extreme crazy start, and they're not going to be lazy like that story hare. They're not going to take a break. They're not going to eat. They're going to keep running at full speed. They're going to take their whiplashes and cross the finish line. The question is, can the people in the coops and the trucks, any kind of Fortnite vehicle, man, I'm going to take it all the way back to the board days and maybe the shopping cart days, who's going to catch up to that whiplash trio? I don't know who that's going to be.
Yeah, you can see those Mark 51s being so fast on rotation, but one thing that could end up potentially being a little bit of a stumbling block for the trio would be if they end up struggling with Storm Surge today. We've already seen in the first 2 games, that first Storm Surge has been massive in a completely uncontested drop spot. If they aren't able to kind of get enough tags to get over the top, that could force them into kind of one of those classic Mongrel over-aggressive situations.
Right.
As long as they avoid that, I think they'll be okay. Right? I think that if they've done enough so far where they have the playmaking ability over the course of these 6 games, that they're going to have at least 1 or 2 more solid games in that instance. As long as they don't have 1 or 2 absolutely ruinous games by Storm Surge, this should be good enough for them. But right now, we're going to hop on board with the pressure coming from iDrop straight into the box. Downs gets